So guys, welcome to the neurophysiology rapid revision. So you people know when we discuss neurophysiology, physiology means function. Okay, so now we will see the functional aspect of the nerve. We have seen the anatomical aspect of the nerve in neuroanatomy. Now we will be seeing the functional aspect of the nerve. So what is the main function of this nerve? The main function of the nerve is communication. Communication. And how do the nerve help us communicate? They catch the signal, then they help us transfer the signal. And when the signal reaches the end of the nerve, it helps us release a neurotransmitter in the synapse, and then the signal moves forward So what is happening here is we have to study two things. First, we have to study about this signal which is traveling, and the other thing we have to study is the neurotransmitter which is helping the signal to travel. Signal means we have to study action potential. Okay, action potential is one topic which requires in-depth understanding, which we have covered in our app actually. Okay, but here I will be very crisp, very short. Okay, coming to action potential. So you people know when the nerve is in a relaxed state, how is a relaxed state of the nerve? How is the relaxed state? That outer it will be positive, inner it will be negative. So this is the polarized state or the relaxed state of the nerve. Then what happens is, let's say the stimulus is given. As soon as the stimulus is given, the nerve which was at minus 70 millivolts, now it changes, and still there is outside positive, inside negative, but it changes from minus 70 to minus 55 millivolts. Okay, this minus 55 millivolt is the threshold point. See, for this topic understanding now, you should have a basic knowledge of, at least one time you should have read this chapter. Okay, and if you think that directly from this video you will understand everything, not possible. Okay, fine. So when stimulus is given, stimulus is strong enough to reach to the threshold point. Once the stimulus reaches till the threshold point, what happens is, now there is a generation of action potential. And when the action potential is generating, all the sodium moves in. And the inside is now positive and outside is now negative. This phase is known as the depolarization phase. And now the potential will change drastically from minus 55 to plus 40 millivolt. Okay, and this plus 40 millivolt is known as the overshoot. That means this plus 40 is known as the overshoot. That means that after this it cannot increase further. So now it has to go back again in the relaxed state. So after this, what happens is, the sodium entry stops and potassium efflux begins. Okay, and this phase is known as repolarization, because again outside becomes positive, inside becomes negative, and potassium is going out, and again nerve reaches back to minus 70 millivolt. Okay, now sometimes the nerve does not stop at minus 70 millivolt. Potassium continues to exit. This leads to a phase known as hyperpolarization. In hyperpolarization also, outside is positive, inside is negative. Okay, understood? Hyperpolarization. Okay, and hyperpolarization phase means it clinically correlates with the refractory period. Refractory period is the period in which no new stimulus will cause action potential generation. That in this phase, if the nerve is in this phase, if you give stimulus also then also it will not lead to action potential. Okay, understood? I know you have not understood. Let me take one more minute. Okay, So what happened is, nerve, this is a hot pan and I am sleeping. This is a hot pan and I am sleeping. Okay, when I am sleeping, my nerves are in the resting condition. My nerves are in the resting condition. My nerves are at minus 70 millivolt. That is, they are in the polarized state. Okay, but suddenly someone drops this hot pan on my finger. Okay, now what is happening? My finger, it will get excited. It has to fire because it has to tell the brain that hot pan has fallen on the finger. Okay, now the stimulus has come. As soon as the stimulus has come, the voltage of the nerve will change from minus 72 to minus 55. Minus 55 is the threshold point. Threshold point means that stimulus should be this much strong that it crosses minus 55. Because once the nerve crosses minus 55, now what happens is, now sodium entry begins. Because sodium voltage gated channels open. And because the sodium entry begins, now what will occur? Now all the sodium will come inside. Positive charge comes inside, and this minus 55, it is rapidly changed to 0 and then to plus 40. This plus 40 point is overshoot point. That is, you cannot go beyond plus 40. So once the nerve reaches plus 40, that is, once the nerve has fired what it has to fire, now the nerve again goes back into relaxation. And again going back into relaxation is repolarization. In the repolarization phase, sodium entry stopped, potassium efflux present. Okay, but and now the nerve will reach from plus 40 to 0 to minus 70 back. Okay, but sometimes the nerve does not stop at minus 70, which was its original resting position. It goes even in more resting position, that is hyperpolarization, and that is also due to potassium. Okay, and in hyperpolarization we find a named period, that is refractory period, in which the new stimulus, if comes, it will not be able to generate any action potential. Okay, then what is all or none law? All or none law says, it is very easy to understand. It says that the stimulus should be strong enough to take the nerve from minus 70 to minus 55 millivolt. If it is not strong enough, let's say it takes the nerve from minus 70 to minus 60 millivolt, then action potential will not be generated. But if it takes the nerve to minus 55 millivolt, then the same cycle will be repeated: 0, plus 40, again back to 0 and minus 70. So stimulus should be strong enough to take the nerve to threshold point, minus 55. Okay. So it says that it does not depend, the strength of stimulus is not important. It is like I slap someone one time, okay, or I slap someone 10 times. The strength with which I slap is not important. Means stimulus को, nerve को एक बस minus 55 तक लाना है, उसके बाद it will reach plus 40 automatically. तो स्टिमुलस कितना भी स्ट्रांग हो, चाहे वो एक थप्पड़ हो चाहे वो 10 थप्पड़ हो, प्लस 40 तक तो वो जाएगा ही जाएगा. नो वन कैन स्टॉप इट. So strength of stimulus does not matter. The strength should only be this much, that it reaches minus 55. उसके बाद everything will reach plus 40, whether it is a strong stimulus, whether it is a very low stimulus. And this is known as all or none law. Okay? All or none law. I think this is more than enough for your action potential. Coming to neurotransmitters. See, when we talk about neurotransmitters, main are your biogenic amines. Biogenic amines includes catecholamines like your dopamine, serotonin, serotonin is not catecholamine, dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Okay. Then biogenic amines also include histamine, serotonin. Okay. Apart from this, what other neurotransmitters need to read? Acetylcholine, GABA, glutamate, glycine. These are the most important ones. Okay. Okay. So tell me few things about dopamine. Main things only we will be discussing. So dopamine, it is made from tyrosine. Tyrosine, there is a hydroxylase enzyme which converts into L-dopa. L-dopa, with the help of decarboxylase enzyme, converts into dopamine. And dopamine further converts into norepinephrine and epinephrine. So all the three catecholamines are made from tyrosine. This is our one question. Other question is, which is the main enzyme or the rate limiting enzyme? That is hydroxylase. And which is the main step? This step is the main step, that is the rate limiting step. Okay, this is one point that you need to keep in mind. In dopamine, you need to keep in mind that dopamine has four pathways: mesolimbic, mesocortical, tuberoinfundibular and nigrostriatal. Mesolimbic, mesocortical, tuberoinfundibular and nigrostriatal. Nigrostriatal. Mesolimbic is the reward pathway. This runs from the ventral tegmental area to nucleus accumbens. Okay, then comes your mesocortical pathway. Mesocortical pathway runs from the midbrain to the DLPFC and VMPFC. Okay, this pathway is responsible for cognition and emotions. Cognition DLPFC, emotions VMPFC. Tuberoinfundibular pathway. Tuberoinfundibular pathway is mainly related with prolactin. And nigrostriatal pathway is mainly related with movements. So if what is the function of dopamine in the mesolimbic pathway? Giving motivation, energy, reward. What is the function of dopamine in mesocortical pathway? Cognition and emotion. What is the function of dopamine in the tuberoinfundibular pathway? That dopamine keeps prolactin levels checked. It does not let the prolactin levels rise. Okay. And what is the function of dopamine in the nigrostriatal pathway? Dopamine facilitates the movement. Let's say this pathway is injured. The person will not have any motivation, any energy, any reward. So decreased dopamine in this pathway, mesolimbic pathway, can lead to depression. Okay. Then if this pathway is gone, mesocortical pathway is gone, it can lead to cognitive blunting, emotional dulling, etc. If tuberoinfundibular pathway is affected, dopamine is affected, then dopamine had held the prolactin, but now this hold is gone and prolactin level will rise. So the female will suffer from hyperprolactinemia. Okay, and prolactin is therefore milk secretion. So milk synthesis. So a lot of milk will be generated in the non-pregnant female. Okay. Then comes the nigrostriatal pathway. If dopamine is injured in the nigrostriatal pathway, no movement will take place and it will lead to a disease known as Parkinson's. Okay. Epinephrine, non-epinephrine, we have read enough in the neuroendocrine. They are the stress hormone. HP axis of the body is the stress response cycle of the body. Okay. Coming to serotonin. Serotonin is the major neurotransmitter for mood. Okay. If serotonin is less, then it can lead to depression and anxiety and even suicide. Okay. That is why for the treatment of depression we use SSRI. SSRI increase the serotonin availability in the brain. Okay. They increase the serotonin availability in brain. And just remember, dopamine, epinephrine and norepinephrine, they are made from tyrosine, but serotonin are made from tryptophan. Serotonin is made from tryptophan. Okay. Apart from mood, it has a lot of functions in gastrointestinal tract and etc. But we need not discuss that. Okay. Then comes your acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a famous neurotransmitter for learning and memory. Okay. So if acetylcholine is injured, it can lead to Alzheimer's disorder. Then GABA. GABA is the major inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. They will ask you, inhibitory neurotransmitter in brain, GABA. Inhibitory neurotransmitter in spinal cord, glycine. Do not confuse. Glycine is the inhibitory neurotransmitter in the spinal cord. Okay. Then glutamate. Glutamate is the stimulatory neurotransmitter. Okay. Okay. Understood? So these are the main things. 2-3 things. If glutamate is more, it can lead to seizures and epilepsy because it will overstimulate the brain. It will overstimulate the brain. Okay. Okay. GABA and glycine, they will ask you nothing this. Then they can ask you about opioid neurotransmitters. So opioid neurotransmitters are enkephalins, endorphins, and dynorphins. Endorphins are known as runner's high. When you go to the gym and you do a strenuous exercise, and after that strenuous exercise, in spite of being tired, you feel good. You feel as something is giving high to you. That is endorphins. Body release endorphins. Okay. Body release endorphins in response to a exercise. Okay. Enkephalins, endorphins, and dynorphins. Their main function is in pain. They help us to decrease pain. Then there is a neurotransmitter by the name of substance P. Substance P increases pain. So we have developed those drugs which inhibit substance P. If they inhibit substance P, they will decrease pain. Okay. And we have certain drugs which will stimulate opioid neurotransmitters, which will help to decrease pain. So I want to tell you that for pain, substance P will increase pain, opioid neurotransmitter will decrease pain. Okay. Okay. Remember this much. Okay. So with this, we end with the neurophysiology. 2 main topics, both covered. Thanks.